silence and pledge allegiance, so we'll stand. Thank you. Doug, you want to lead us in the pledge?
Put your hand over your heart and begin. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank everybody for that. We have some recognitions tonight. I'll turn that over to the director.
Come on up, Chris.
Well, tonight we have our district spelling bee champion here with us, and we'd like to recognize her. This is Peyton Chambers. So Peyton, you can come on up here. Peyton goes to Maury Middle School, 8th grade, right? She won at Maury Middle School the competition, and then went on to the county competition, and she won first place there as well. And she is looking towards going forward in the regional competition, so that'll be coming up next month. And so we're just glad to have Peyton here tonight and to be recognized for this honor. Yes, that'll work. All right, thank you.
Danny, did you want to challenge her with some words? We got in trouble. Miss Elder got us in trouble because she wasn't here tonight. So we'll have to send her some pictures. Congratulations, thank you. All right. Miss Angie Rogers is coming up. She's got
Come on up, ladies.
her PTO.
So these ladies are the jack of all trades. We've got them from our crafty organizer to driving a bus to this mother. I didn't know you could cook hot dogs on air fryer until last week, but that was an amazing thing. So seriously, I love our PTO. They raised $90,000+ for a new playground. That's a hard thing to do, but really got the community invested. They're at our school all the time. Parent-teacher conferences becomes a family game night so that parents can come in and play games with their kids and wait on their conferences. And just, every time the doors are open, these ladies are here. So this is Michelle Goggins, Michelle Montgomery, and Sarah Ferris, and Holly Pittman could not be here. But we just can't function without these ladies. They do an amazing job.
Wonderful. Thank you all very much.
We got the principal support, the district support.
Thank you all. You be there for our hot dog.
They're pretty good.
All right, appreciate this. Public input now. We got anybody?
Yeah, tonight, sir.
Oh, tonight. Thank you. Okay, we don't have anything under board approved agreement renewals tonight. So special committee reports. We will say that the joint school board county commission committee, the next meeting for that, we got that set for May 21st at 6:30 p.m. At the Patriot Academy.
Josh, you may have to change the location.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
All right. Tentatively,
Yes.
then at the Patriot Academy, may have to change location, but May 21st, 6:30 p.m. Building and Maintenance Committee, Paul, you got anything on that?
Just our next meeting's April 14th at 5:30.
Paul, where is that gonna be?
We'll send that out. We haven't.
You haven't decided yet?
All right. Next up, director's input on business session agenda items.
We'll start out, Trevor's gonna talk to us, go through the 5-year plan. We looked a little bit at the changes that were approved, but Trevor just wants to bring us up on that 5-year strategic plan.
The screen in the back, I'm sorry that I can't get the TVs to work, but every time I plug them in, everything dies. So if you want to follow along, the back screen has the information. So we put together, starting 2 years ago, we started working on a district 5-year strategic plan. And Mr. Edison asked last month if we could begin to kind of review some of the things that we've done. We met for our first actual committee review in December, I think it was December, and kind of talking about the things that we hit and missed, and then updated the plan some. So Ms. Walker, if she will. What I tried to do was, you look at our first goal was the instructional core. Of the instructional core, there were 3 separate strategies listed under those. And I went through and kind of marked, as we talked as a committee, the things that we hit. And it doesn't mean that those things are accomplished. What it really means is those are the things that we accomplished in a 1-year scope of the plan. So, we may not have hit the whole 5-year, but we're making movement toward it. So the big thing for under grade level attainment, meaning students getting to grade level, was adopting high-quality instructional materials for the current school year. And last year, it was funding science materials for the 25-26 school year. And we funded, approved, and implemented those materials in grades K through 12. And again, the board funded those and approved those. And we are now in our 7th or 8th month of implementation of those new science materials. As part of the plan, every year there's a $400,000 reserve. Like I said, that was kind of an estimate that goes in for funding the next round. And as was presented Saturday, our next funding round is for ELA for that 3-year gap period. So that is the next action step that's inside of the plan. It's ensuring we have ELA materials for the next 3 years. Invest in teacher training. We did launch a teacher leader program this year, which is helping to, it's every grade level and subject in grades K through 8 has a teacher leader. High school, the tested subject areas have teacher leaders, and that's the first year we've done that. And then on top of that, we hired a teacher mentor and retention position. That's a former administrator who came back into the district to help us to train and retain our new teachers and our teachers early in their careers. So that was a check that we'd hope to be able to do. We are continuing to fund tutoring in grades K through 5 at all of our elementary buildings. We're fully staffed there. That is, saying fully staffed is quite a job, but a lot of those people are retired teachers and all the things that come with sicknesses and illnesses and those things. So Ms. Walkie spends a lot of time, like I say, helping principals keep those tutors in place. We do have a really solid, and I think our results speak to that, our balanced assessment system. And to me, what that means is we have a benchmark screener iReady in grades K through 8, and then we have standards-based screeners in grades 3 through 11 that really help us understand where our students are and how to change and adjust instruction as we go along the line. So that's a big priority that's helped us kind of make and attain the scores that we currently have. Do 2 more really quick on the side. Oh, sorry, Christy. Go back. Invest and support innovative school models. That is, as we were talking Saturday, and you kind of talked through, the ISM, Innovative School Model, was meant to be a 3 to 4 year project from the governor. Fully funded year 1, and each year of the grant, the state, like I said, stopped funding a portion of it. So we are now next year in that place to where if the board so chose through the plan to fully fund the innovative school models for middle school grades and high school grades. So again, every year it's at 25% been reduced. This coming year, the plan states that the board will fully fund that model in our middle school and high schools. And then investing in ACT. One of the large goals that we have an elementary K2 goal that kind of tells us if we're hitting our marks or not. We have a 3.5, a 6.8. The high school, the ACT was kind of like the ultimate benchmark that we chose. And you'll see in just a second, we did miss our mark in that, but we showed improvement. So continuing the ACT push to the high school level is a big push for us moving forward to get back to scores that we saw pre-COVID. That is the only place in our plan that we have not made up ground. So as we were talking through that, that is leading up to that. So Christy, if you would. So if you'll think about all the things that we kind of talked through, our big goal, like I said, for our district is always to be able to show improvement in our literacy scores. And this year, the things that we kind of talked through, 6A schools for Jefferson County Schools is such a big deal. And then when they named that having over half of your schools be A schools, 22 districts in the state earned that designation. Of those 22, 15 were city school districts. Most of those school districts that earned that designation had 1, 2, or 3 schools. It's a lot easier to hit it when there's one. We had the third largest number of eligible schools for that, and we also saw the press release stating $1.2 million, like I said, rewarded Jefferson County Schools, and if it's fully funded by the governor, $2 million as a recognition for that mark. So again, the strategic plan leading those literacy initiatives, the implementation of science materials, all of that work really shows up inside of these metrics. 4 reward schools, and then for high school, as we work through this, like I said, I can remember, Doug said, what do all the acronyms mean? ACT, CCR. We chose CCR, College Career Readiness. We chose that as one of the leading indicators for our high school, meaning that when seniors graduate, they earn one of the recognitions that the state considers college and career ready. That might be a 21 on the ACT. That might be an industry certification they can use when they leave the district and go to be employed. Military readiness through the ASVAB. There's all of these different indicators. We set a 5-year goal. And Doug, when we actually re-met on this, Doug said, was it ambitious enough? We were around 63% when we set the goal. We set a 5-year goal to be at 75%. In 1 year's time, and like I said, there's a ton of work that goes into innovative schools. There's a ton of work that goes into the ACT work. We went from 63% to 74.4% in 1 year's time. Almost meeting our 5-year goal in one run. If you think that that's easily done, if you will look at surrounding school districts and their college and career ready rates, it is not that rate. So again, that is a huge 75%, roughly 74.4% of our kids graduate with an industry credential, ACT score, or ASVAB score designated as college or career ready. I'm going to stop there. Like I said, again, that is the instructional core. Any questions from the board before we move on?
Good question. The innovative school models, now that we're taking that over, do we know how much that costs us a year to run that? Roughly? I'm not looking for exact.
Roughly, $500,000 salaries. Roughly, I mean, that's real rough.
What exactly does that do?
Sure, so we went through that, and the board bought into the plan. So previously, a student becomes a freshman in high school, and they are introduced to CTE, Career Technical Education classes. And a student may dig into it a little bit their freshman and sophomore year, and then they do an intern their junior year, and they get to somewhere, think they want to be a nurse, they see blood and they pass out, and then they determine that this is not for me, but it's too late to enter into another field. So if we introduce it into 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade, students have an understanding of fields that they may be interested in. They start learning, what area fits their self the most, and then whenever they get to high school, they have a level of interest survey that they are able to kind of find their niche in the program, whether that's with computers, whether that's out in the building trades, with plumbing, mechanical, electrical, welding, building, woodworking, whether it's nursing, culinary, you know, those opportunities are endless, but that's what that does at the middle school level.
Following up on Paul's question, is that an expense that you will be budgeting into the budget next year?
So whenever Innovative School Model became a grant, we bought into it as a board. It was funded at 100%. Then we picked up 25% of the cost the second year. This year we picked up a little bit more than 50% of the cost, 75% of the cost.
Right.
And then next year it falls 100%. So we've gradually taken on up to 75% of the cost already.
So that cost will be in the budget when the budget's presented?
It'll be presented to you with that cost in it.
Okay. One other statement, Trevor mentioned about the 22 schools, and I posted this online, but I know some folks are not on Facebook. That bus is, there's 174 school districts.
147.
What's that? When I say 147, I said 147, not 174, 147 school districts in the state. We are in the top 22. That means we are in the top 14 percentile of all schools in Tennessee. That is a huge development, and in the top 3 in East Tennessee. In other words, we are there with Alcoa and Maryville, and we kicked Oak Ridge out. That makes me feel like I'm on the gold medal hockey team this year. That is something that is absolutely amazing, and I congratulate Dr. Arnold and all the staff for that. That's amazing. Thank you.
All right. So again, area for improvement here, again, that ACT ELA benchmark score is one area for improvement. We have put a really robust plan in place this year. You want to think this review ended in May and June of last year. So that's when the work really came to us. We've been working hard on that since then, working in English 3. That is the one place our scores are the weakest, and that's the one place we spent the most time this year working, hoping to see those results improve when we take the ACT in the month of March. So, Christy, if you would. So again, we adopted those 3 different guidelines. At the last board meeting, Mr. Hardy did ask a question. Hit that just for a second. When you look at our scores in elementary school, what you do see across the state is the earlier the grade level, the higher the scores until they hit high school. When you get into middle school, you end up with, anywhere you go, fewer teachers per grade level, they get 4 exposures to science, social studies, math, and ELA as an equal block. Elementary school is more time in reading and math. High school is more time in reading and math. We always see that shrinking piece of it. Setting a 50% proficiency goal for middle school is an ambitious goal, even though it may not look like it. When you look at the averages across the state, when you look at averages for high-performing districts, 50% for grades 6, 8 is for us. Last year we were at 36.4. That is actually above state average as a grade span. Hitting about 3 to 4% a year is what we're shooting for, to be at 50 by the time we hit that. We are not shooting for a 3.4% increase this year. We are shooting for 6 or 7%, hoping by the time we can hit 28, 29 that we're at 50%. Our 3-5 rate, you can see we're at 44% now. We didn't make that 60. That felt much more attainable knowing where our current position is. What I would like to state is, this year, if you ask any middle school principal in the building, we said 47% of our 5th graders are moving to 6th grade proficient. Your job is to hold them at 47% or grow them. So we're going to try to hit that 50% by making sure we maintain our 6th graders and grow them 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. High school, we chose the ACT benchmark in reading, but this gives you an idea of what we're shooting for grade level by grade level. Please remember that 44.4, that 44 and 36.4, top scores in the state, top 22 districts. That's the way to frame it as we look at it, again, moving toward 50 as our goal. When we started this work 5 years ago, we set a goal for 3rd grade ELA to be at 50%, and I remember these people in the room looking at me like, do you know where we are right now? And we all had the conversation. We are within 5 points of our 50 for 3rd grade. We're within 5 points. Instead of this year, this is the end of our 5-year cycle. Correct? You remember that, right? Focus 5, like 50%. What are you doing 50%? 5 points away in 4 years. Christy, if you would. District personnel, kind of the same structure that we looked at with the other one, recruitment and retention and morale and climate. Again, not having all these things completed, but I would say that we are on track, like I said, to meet that $50,000 starting salary by 26-27. That was one of the things that we put into the goals. And then from there, a 3% increase every year. That second piece, continued to increase salaries across the salary scale. In the district, not just hitting 50, but Dr. Arnold and the board, as you were doing that, you were also elevating everyone's salaries across the scales, making it an increase of approximately 3% for non-certified staff. That's goal 2, strategy 2. Full medical insurance for employees, continue differentiated pay plans. As we talked, Doug was really kind of adamant on rewarding performance. That is a grade 3, 4, or 5 on observations, or a TBOS measure. Grow your own opportunities and funded state programs for additional licensure. Those are things taking advantage of state funding. Monthly staff focuses. So when we started this process, employee recognition got its own action step. That was one of the things that we wanted to make sure we were recognizing our employees. If you look through our central office update, when we started that goal, it wasn't the next month, Christy and I started working on how do we recognize our staff, our coaches, our principals, and making sure we highlight those people who don't get highlighted as often as we would like to. That became a very big focus for us. Faculty to staff tailgate at the beginning of the school year, put on by the Exceptional Children's Services Department, and then our Teacher and Employee of the Year banquet. That was one of our big initiatives this year. That was very successful, and we are still highlighting that in our office update every month. So those are all the things we saw inside of district personnel. Any questions? I'm sure Marion wishes I would slow down. I only have 20 minutes though. That's all I gave. Student supports. This one heavily focused on behavior and attendance. When we started this process, bus monitors were a pilot. Like I said, those things have been moved into action now. Framework for consistent behaviors. We continue to meet with principals and assistant principals regularly on just defining behaviors, punishments, rewards, and those types of things. You will see several places here where there are not checks. And if you look at a lot of those, it is really focusing on that public-facing piece. And we've talked about the need for that public relations. What do we call that, Tommy? Communications coordinator. Thank you. That would be one place that would come into play. We did see our chronic absenteeism rate decline for grades K-8. We celebrated that. That's where we were. High school stabilized last year. That was one of those areas where it had been going down every year. We didn't make movement on it last year, but we also didn't see an increase in it. In the plan, you can read our pre-COVID, 13.9% was the chronic absenteeism rate for the county. It is over 20% now, and you will find that same rise and increase in almost every district across the state. 2 years ago, Granger County had a 9-12 absentee rate of 50%. We were at 23-24. So I mean, there's a lot of work being done. That is considered to be missing more than 18 days or 17 days out of the school year if you take full advantage of your snow days. So again, that's missing a lot of schools. So we saw the reduction. We hope to continue to do that. We've increased communication and education across the out of school through the central office update, through social media. And again, we're never done with that work. I talk to principals all the time, and they go, "What are we doing? What do we need to do? Where are we?" It's a large, heavy work and a hard lift to get that sport to be where we want it to be. Next step, continued focus on student attendance and that community education piece. Like I said, again, through the social media networks, through principal conversations with parents, and so on. Christy? When we got to this in December, it was like we always just said check mark and move on. The goals that we set for building programs, evaluate a 3-step plan. One of the first things in that 3-step plan was hiring an assistant maintenance supervisor to begin doing punch orders. And I know at the time, Tommy said one school had been kind of taken care of with that, moving on to the others. Perfection group scope of work, roofing plans. Jeff Elementary, there's not a completed Jeff Elementary, but if you look at that, it is a consensus, scope of work, joint committee, actionable plan. Like I said, we decided at that time that actionable plan, it is in the hands of the architect. There's in the next steps for that is monitor that plan and timeline as we move forward. So that was kind of the next steps we chose there. At the time we built this, Tablet Elementary was not a done project, but now there's actually boots on the ground. So again, that is just monitoring timelines as we move forward. Any questions with that? We have work to do to build this up again when we meet again to go into the next steps for this.
I got a question on the one, the slide before this.
We used to go back to these slides.
What is the plan for creating a public-facing campaign to educate stakeholders on bullying? What's going on with that?
We did not make movement on that plan.
Okay.
So that's why there's no check there. There's still work to be, not to say there's not something being done, but the public education facing outward piece still has work to do.
Okay.
For the number 4 on that, explore the grant opportunities for additional high-level behavioral supports. What exactly does that mean?
It could be grant opportunities for any time. I know the governor has put lots of money into behavioral supports. There was some talk about additional counselors. That didn't make it in the governor's budget this year, but there was discussion about it. There was also some discussion about some supports for, can't remember what they're called. It's a level of position, but there is $25 million in the governor's grant through the behavioral health and substance abuse party in the state, at the state level, and that money somehow is going to flow through next year, but we don't know how.
Do we actually have somebody that does grant writing?
No grant writer,
I don't believe the county does either, does it?
no. No.
And I'll go back to say a public-facing campaign to educate stakeholders on bullying. We do have the See Something, Say Something program that's out there and the anonymous tip line that exists for that piece. It is that there's nothing existing. It just doesn't exist to the level that we were beginning to work on a plan. Anything to that? Okay. I happened to think of that as we were going through it. It just did not meet the full goal that we had to actually get the big message out that we wanted to. Any other questions? All right. Last one to kind of wrap up with. When we were building this one, we were really talking about trying to increase just public awareness. And I will say, I told Doug, it is that, not that we didn't work on getting these things done, we did not meet the full intention of the goal. And this is where the idea for the community relations person came from. We've increased social media. We have 2,000 hits a month on our central office update. We have quick some videos. We have more people engaging with our Facebook site. But we are all taking turn about, Christy and I were working this afternoon in her office trying to get the central office update ready. It's what we do when work is over. It's those things that kind of fall on our plates once the day is finished. So a lot of those things were left undone. We worked, the joint committee between school board and county commissioners was achieved. So we did say when the public relations, community relations person is hired, we said as a committee we'll come back together and we'll rework this goal with that person in mind. Right now this is very vague as far as increasing our presence in the community. And again, it is our jobs that we do when the other parts of the job are finished. So this would be, this is the only goal with only one indicator marked as complete. Like I said, and again, that position is meant to help achieve this goal as we move into the next school year. So high-level overview, any other questions with this that you think of right now? All right, thank you so much.
We do appreciate that. Like I said last time, we appreciate all the folks that are on that committee doing that work. It's thankless sometimes, but we appreciate it. It gives us something to work towards. And that's what helps us achieve these goals. So, anything else, Dr. Ron?
A few things. I saw you came in right after the end of public input. Did you have something to address the board about?
Yes, I do.
Let me check with the. It's not signed in yet. So, I could tell you had something on your mind.
Oh, yeah. Well, mainly what I wanted to bring attention to was my child being assaulted at Maury Middle School on January 16th. I have pictures of the assault where he was punched over 20 times and kicked and stomped. And he, in the process of this happening, no teachers came to his aid. Nobody, he yelled for help, and nobody whatsoever, no adult was monitoring the hallways. I feel like my child is unsafe inside of Maury's walls because the lack of monitoring and the lack of transparency. I asked them for the incident report. They did not file one out, which I'm pretty sure that according to the Tennessee Code Act of 476-1601 is procedural requirements that any physical altercation needs to have an incident report. That's kind of a law. And there's also a mandatory reporting for anybody involved that needs child services to be notified. The child that attacked my child is a foster child, and nobody ever reported anything, as far as I can tell, to child services. That is another violation of the law, to the best of my understanding. I am really concerned that my child is not safe in Maury Middle School's care because the lack of reporting. Nobody is doing what I understand is required by law when an assault happens in your custody. It seems like it's being swept under the rug, it's being neglected. When I talked to Michelle Walker today, because I had tried to contact her before and she had to call me back, she said that she does not bring any of these altercations to Doug's attention or anybody else's. She said because I specifically asked, she was going to make Tommy Arnold aware of the situation as of today, which happened over a month ago. And I'm really not seeing the protection for the kid in general. Like, I know of other assaults that's happened within Maury's walls that I don't believe there was any, like, reporting done. The actual reporting is what's required, to the best of my knowledge, by law. Like, that you all are supposed to report every single physical altercation, whether it was the aggressor or whether he was the one being attacked. There's supposed to be an incident report. The SRO, which I have a picture of, said that his chief told him not to file a report. So I'm trying to get to the bottom of it and figure out why that these assaults are not being reported when it happens inside Maury's walls. And I was just wondering what steps can I take to try to keep my kids safe? I don't feel like that they're being transparent. I don't feel like they're being forthcoming about what really happened. I caught quite a bit of flack just for going and talking to Sheriff Dunlap, Chad Dunlap, because I told him I wanted to press charges because Emily Gwynn, the principal of Maury Middle School, said that my kid was attacked and found to be not the aggressor. He was trying to get away. He was trying to do what was right. He was not trying to really fight back. He just wanted to get away. This kid kept dragging him back into the bathroom. And I said, well, don't y'all monitor your hallways? How come nobody could hear my kid hollering for help? It's not just it happened in the bathroom. It's that no adult came to help.
What was your name?
Cody Loveday.
All right, thank you.
And that's K-O-D-Y.
Cody.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for bringing this to our attention.
Okay. And I do have where my child went to the hospital and we went to the emergency room and they classified it as the assault, and he was definitely assaulted within y'all's custody, within Jefferson County Schools custody.
Thank you.
All right, we also have, items for discussion that's gonna come up on the business agenda. One item there was the board evaluation that, we've presented to you from TSBA. You know, ever how you feel about that, we'll bring that up. You'll have an opportunity for consideration of that at the business session. And then also on the business session is a request for consideration to use fund balance of $750,000 to purchase ELA materials for gap years 6, 7, and 8. And that'll get us back around to the next ELA adoption. So the adoption initially was scheduled for 6 years. Now they've pushed that out to 8. So that's why it's a 3-year period for that. And we discussed that a little bit at the retreat, and just, that'll be for your consideration on the business agenda. And then, those are the only 2 items that we have under new business for the business agenda, unless you all consider adding something else.
Can I add something? On the policies, we will have policies for first reading. I believe we have 6 policies for first reading. And just to let everybody know, our next scheduled policy meeting is April 27th. So that will be, we will set the date when policies need to be submitted to be considered. So April 27th will be the next policy meeting. Thank you.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you for that. School commissioner items for discussion. Has anybody got anything on this? I know we just had our retreat and everybody ready to talk again. Doug?
Based upon the public input we just had, could I ask that if he's willing to, that gentleman come back up? I have a couple of questions I'd like to ask you. If that's all right with you, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
So,
Obviously, I'm very concerned about what you had to say. Could you tell me from the time the incident occurred till now, what you mentioned that it happened? You obviously not satisfied with the responses you've gotten from the school district. Can you kind of go through what responses you've had from the school district, you know, based upon what you understood happening?
The only response that I really got was they weren't allowed to tell me who assaulted my child, and that I was, Emily, the only real response she had was is that you have the right to press charges. Because your son was trying to get out of the confrontation, and the other kid continued to try to pound on him, drag him back in and beat on him more.
So you're saying the only response you got from our school district when you reported it was from the principal stating that you could press charges, but that was pretty much it. And then anything else that happened was from your initiative, going to the sheriff and all of this.
Yeah, and I mean, Emily made it clear that there was no incident report even when I came to get my son, that it had not been filled out, that there was no reporting being done.
Did she give you a reason why that was the case?
No.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Arnold, could you go over kind of what the procedures are for things like this? As far as, you know, when, you know, alleged incidents of assault takes place, kind of what the regular flow of information is?
So an assault is a criminal charge. We do,
Okay,
yeah, so we do not issue assault charges at the school level. So evidently there was a physical altercation at the school. Miss Gwen notified you of the incident, and there was no, I would imagine that there was nothing filled out on your child because your child had no consequence, no punishment, nothing there. So everything would have been done with the other child, and we do not share other student disciplinary records with another individual. My understanding is believe you had your day in court on this. Were you able to go to court yet on this?
Yeah, we went to court Wednesday, and I'm having to seek more legal counsel, yeah.
Yeah. So the school disciplined the child involved, and then, you know, this individual seeking restitution for, you know, we're not a court of law.
Oh, no,
So-
no, I just
So
wanted to
the school has
understand what was
done, the school, in my opinion, the school's done everything that they needed to do. We don't have monitors in the bathroom. I don't know how it was finally recognized and whenever people got there. So you have a gym right next to the bathroom. There's a lot of stuff going on. Kids go to the bathroom all the time by themselves. So we have a lot of fights that occur in schools from time to time. So, you know, that's all I've got on
Right.
that right now.
Well, I'm not trying to assign any kind of, you know, who's right, who's wrong, I just wanted to understand the incident.
I'm not, I mean, you know, I'm not one to ever handle an incident.
Sure.
Like he spoke about, he got to Michelle Walker, talked to him today. You know, I started out my morning in Asheville, North Carolina. I ended up here. So that's for me to deal with. So I don't have all the details of the incident.
My main concern was the lack of reporting that is supposedly required by law, by the Tennessee code. That's my big-
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Did you say you took your son to the doctor?
Yeah,
Huh?
yes, sir.
When, when did you take it? The day it happened?
Yeah,
6 weeks after
The
or what?
day that happened.
And you got it?
Mhm. Yeah, the nurse at Marty Middle recommended that I get him checked out because he had been hit very hard by a kid that was twice his size, twice his weight. And they said that he was, you know, he was so much bigger, they were worried about concussions or brain damage or potential brain bleeding. But yet, there's no reports, there's no incident report. Thank you, Mr.
No, I'm
Baker.
done, thank you.
Was there a report done by the resource officer, do you know?
No, that's exactly what I'm bringing to your attention now.
So that's not under this board's control.
Right.
That's not our employee.
Right.
You know, I'm sure if I was to look into it, there is a disciplinary action on the other child involved. But, you know, I can't answer for the juvenile records through the justice system, so I don't know. I wouldn't have access to those.
Don't we have a certain procedure or policy dealing with how a resource officer, whether he does have to or does not have to file a report? I would
We
think
don't
that,
as a
I would
board.
think that would have to, if they're in our schools, I would still think that would still have something to do with us as a district, happening on our grounds. Now, I'm not saying that we can do anything as far as legally against the child that was the bully, but I would think that there needs to be something, or make sure that the process is done properly on the resource officer doing their job properly. I mean, if there's no,
Yeah, I can't say that
if
he
there's
didn't.
no paper trail, then things don't happen.
I can't say that he didn't do his job properly. I don't know. I mean, I can't sit here and say that there wasn't some report filed. So obviously, well, I don't know.
But he's saying that there wasn't,
Right.
right?
Yes, sir. That was confirmed by Chad Dunlap, the sheriff. Dunlap, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But he confirmed that there's no SR report, SRO report.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Have you good?
Any other school commissioner items for discussion?
recognize our teachers and various different employees throughout the year. I've noticed one day that we don't recognize specifically, and I'd like to see us maybe start to recognize the secretaries. Do we do anything specific? I may just be ignorant, not know. But I know that April 22nd, which is a Wednesday this year, is actual National Secretary's Day. And I'd like to make sure, there's one in every school with Ms. Rhonda, that's fantastic, doing her job. Ms. Troutman in Central. And I think that we ought to make sure that we emphasize that day for them, that's all.
Anyone else? I will say on this whole, whatever happened at Maury, I believe Dr. Arnold will take care of it. I believe in his leadership and abilities, and there's certain things, I know from being in the school system myself, there's things that he can handle, and there's things that the law will have to handle, and once it's with the law, it's out of our hands. If we've done, I say we, if the school system has done what they could, this is something, I guess it's with Dandridge Police or whoever it is that's out here, or the school, or county, whichever, so.
Yeah, I'll follow up. I will send you all, and, I'll send it, through Bennett. It'll be a confidential email with student records, so just make sure that, you treat it that way whenever it comes.
All right, anything else? All right, I appreciate everybody's input, and I appreciate everybody that was at the, board retreat on, Saturday. A lot of good information got shared there, some updates, all that budget stuff. Some of it goes over my head, but I appreciate the work Dr. Arnold and the staff put in on that, because that budget, whew. And when we're talking about shortfalls, that makes it even harder. So that $1.2 million that came in from the schools getting, the reward through Tennessee Department of Education, that's helped out a whole lot. And I know they're still working hard on everything, so appreciate that. Yeah,
Dr. Arnold, for that $1.2 million, do we need as a board to vote on how we're going to allocate that, how we're going to use that, or is that pretty much your discretion to do?
So it's my discretion. So it'll be within the budget for you to approve. So it'll be considered as revenue in the budget.
In the budget that we approve?
Yes.
Thank you.
and that'll be coming up in April. So, not gonna be too far out. All right, there's nothing else in, we'll be adjourned till the business session next Thursday. Hope everybody stay warm.